Welcome back to the Business Ally Spotlight, and I have a special guest with me today, Jessica Hobbs. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Lynn.
So happy to see you. Jessica is the founder of ECE Compliance Gurus, and she truly is a guru of all things compliance. So let's just start, Jessica, with you telling our listeners more about you and why you formed ECE Compliance Gurus.
So ECE Compliance Gurus was really born out of my passion and commitment that evolved over many years to revolutionize compliance in the childcare industry. So with over 25 years of hands-on experience, I really wanted to use that experience and dedicate it to ensuring that compliance becomes a cornerstone of strength and reliability for my clients. So my background, I'll back up just a little bit to how I got here. Those 25 years was my experience allows me to tackle compliance challenges from various angles. So I have an educational background in early childhood education and special education, along with technical writing. So my experience has expanded from a teacher to a director, from a childcare owner to state licensing. And then I spent my last tenure in creating a compliance department for a larger organization that started with just 30 schools and grew to almost 150 schools. That experience allowed me to learn and see the good, the bad, the ugly,
Yes.
what works and what doesn't work, right? When you're growing like that, you have to try new things. What works at 30 schools doesn't work at 200 schools, right? Not always. Um, so for ECE Compliance Gurus, our services cover a spectrum from crafting policies and procedures to guiding clients through intricate licensing process for new childcare facilities. We excel in setting up compliance processes, conducting audits, and navigating complex situations such as adverse action and revocation. But
Ooh, yes. Okay.
what
Keep
I'm
going. Keep
what
going.
I'm gonna say is what really excites me. This is probably where you're gonna want to interject. But what excites me is to be able to encompass all of those things using our expertise in optimizing and integrating compliance infrastructure, right? Whether you're a small organization of 10 schools or a larger enterprise of 500 to 1,000 schools, we understand the importance of seamless, efficient systems that propel your company toward proactive compliance
Yes.
versus reactive compliance.
Agreed. Agreed. And to build on what you were saying is I love the idea of a cornerstone because there's something reassuring about that. There's stability that comes with that term cornerstone. And we've talked about this before, but oftentimes it seems like compliance is we know we need to do it, but somehow other priorities crowd that out. And once it gets crowded out, when does it become a priority?
When
When
something happens.
when something happens, exactly. And so we speak the same language with that, which is how to be proactive instead of reactive. So your expertise across the spectrum is really what makes you such a valuable ally to the Compliance Alliance because you see it through multiple lenses and building that infrastructure. What do you think the number one challenge really is? There's multiple, but if you had to kind of narrow it in, what do you think the biggest challenge is around compliance?
Yeah, I will say the primary challenge that my clients are coming to me about revolves around the absence of comprehensive but user-friendly processes to uphold ongoing compliance across their campuses. So they they want to know the compliance health. It's just, how do we get there? How do we know the compliance health of those campuses? Who's monitoring that? So there's, many times they're seeking some type of infrastructure where there's better ownership. We know who owns each piece of it. And there's accountability for various aspects. So I think that they're seeking, also awareness in a way that when they're looking at the compliance health, what do managers and management teams see on a daily basis? Or what can they see? How do they know that their schools are okay, right? And the same thing with like C-suite executives. They probably need to be looking at something a little different, but they still need to know what's happening and what that compliance health looks like.
I love the term compliance health. I haven't heard of it described that way. And it's a great way to think about, well, we're doing compliance, but how well? And that health score is a great way to be thinking about it. You were mentioning something else when it comes to, so the different lens of compliance. This is what I was going to ask you. When it comes to culture, how do you know a school is committed to compliance? What are some of the indicators that it's part of their culture?
When I go into a campus, there's a couple of things that I can take a look at, like just without doing a full audit, right? I could walk in. One thing is knowing, is there, or watching, is their director walking around the campus? Like, are they going into classrooms? Or what are they looking for when they go into classrooms? Are they looking to see that attendance was taken every 30 minutes? Is it a name to face count, or are teachers just counting numbers? Do they really know where children are? So that's one thing if you have a director walking through that campus. Another thing is staff files. Pulling a few staff files to see, are they complete according to the state requirements? Are the teachers qualified for the positions they're in? So I can say, what I could do that in, an hour, and probably quickly tell you where that compliance health lies at that campus.
Yes, those are good indicators. And I also find that when compliance is viewed, as you said earlier, as a cornerstone, and it does get reflected in the culture, you tend to see compliance viewed as a, let's make sure we're staying ahead. Let's make sure we don't get dinged. Like there's an ownership of it. That gets back to the accountability piece. There's an ownership of it, as opposed to, if I get caught, bad things happen. Well, yes, bad things happen, but the goal is to bring things to light before bad things happen, and to have everybody free to be able to do that, knowing that is the goal, is to be aware of those things so you can be proactive.
Yes, and I think also directors, regional managers, coming from a place of strength when it comes to regulations. So regulations are not just ticking boxes many times, right? There's interpretation involved. So if a regional manager or a director can speak to regulations in those terms to say, yes, I know this, here's the regulation. This is how we're interpreting it. This is how we're making it work for our organization or for the profitability of the business too. I mean, there's the business side of this, right? Then I know that they're coming from a place of strength, right?
Yes.
And it tells me about the culture, that they're not fearful. Instead, they're strong. They're coming from a strong foundation of being able to speak to each situation, which I think is a much better place to come from than a place of fear that, oh my goodness, we didn't tick that box, right?
Very, very true. And I think that once you have established that culture, then your staff almost becomes investigators themselves.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's beautiful when that happens because they see,
Mhm.
let's make sure, and they're helping each other to make sure that they're staying in compliance. So we're going to go deeper into that in future episodes where we can really talk about what a compliance health score might look like, what an audit might look like. Let's go there. You might also be able to talk about what happens when you do have a citation or legal liability, that whole idea of mediation. I know that's also a skill that you bring to the table. So we'll be doing a deeper dive on that in future episodes. But today is an introduction to your company and why you exist, and love everything that you do. Compliance. We're a bit of the compliance live and breathe. It's in our blood every day in every way. So happy to have you part of this. Share with our listeners, why did you decide to become an ally with the Compliance Alliance?
Yeah. How could I not? No, no. I mean, yeah, because the invaluable expertise that you have brought together for compliance. Um, that's what the partnership offers. And I think it's probably easiest for me to explain this in an example. Um, so I can think of a current project that I'm thinking through. And as I'm tasked with enhancing a company's overall compliance processes, systems, accountability measures, that infrastructure that I was talking about. To achieve it, it's crucial for various stakeholders, including, like I said, regional teams, C-suite, school directors. They all have to have that strong compliance foundation and insight into the landscape. C-suite, they need an insight into the compliance health, right? Um, so I truly enjoy designing that. I truly enjoy designing the efficient processes, the communication flow, accountability activities. But to do that, I need collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Compliance Allies comes in. So through you guys, through Compliance Allies, I have advanced technology, software, digital architects that can bring those designs to life for an organization and truly make them work. So that is why I'm part of Compliance Alliance. I can't do it without you guys.
Well, likewise. And this is just a perfect alignment of core values of our businesses and how we work with our clients, in addition to the subject matter expertise that you bring to the table. And then we come alongside to help build that infrastructure. So delighted to have you part of this. And as we wrap up, Jessica, I always like to ask, because it's revealing about people and a bit of their personalities. So rapid fire questions. Here we go. Are you a dog or a cat person, and why?
Oh, dog. I have two of them. Um, I I have to say I'm a little in the middle because I enjoy cats, but I will have to say dogs because they unconditional love. It's
Yeah.
unconditional love every afternoon. So no matter how bad the day is or what's happening, they're still happy to see you come home.
Do you have a dog?
I have two miniature schnoodles, one black, one white, and very opposite personalities.
Okay, well, I have to ask, as long as we're doing the dog versus cat. So what are the dogs' names?
Oh, you're gonna love this. Um, Skywalker and Chewbacca.
Gee, where'd you get those names?
I have to say, I'm not the Star Wars fan. My son is.
Okay. I love it. I love it. Well, dog it is. And then along the same vein, if I were to ask you mountain or lake or ocean, what would it be?
I'm gonna say ocean. um, yes, I've lived in the mountains, so lived in Colorado, and I did love hiking. Uh,
Mhm.
but the ocean still speaks to me. I think it offers a serenity that I can't get anywhere else.
I happen to live in the mountains. I have a lake right in my backyard, and I'm an hour and a half away from the ocean. So I would have a very hard time answering that question myself because I want it all. But if I'm actually going to be tipped one way, that serenity that comes with the ocean and the tides is probably where you're going to find me.
So same for me. I live next to the ocean right now. And I'm very happy
Yeah.
to look out my door and see it and meditate out on the beach.
I love it. Well, that brings me to my last question. With your dogs on the ocean, are you a dawn or a dusk person? If you had a preference, had to pick one, I know they're both spectacular, but which is it for you?
Absolutely dawn.
Okay. Tell me why absolutely. Emphatically dawn.
Yes, I do. I love the mornings. I love the quiet before anything happens, before anyone is up and awake. It's just, it's my peaceful time. I I rise by 5 every single day and watch the sun come up. So, yes.
Something beautiful about that. Every sunrise is different, and that just is a signal that each day is different, and a new start. So I'm with you on watching that sunrise.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for that little peek into your personal life. And we look forward to having you on a future episode, digging into one or more of these topics.